Good morning. In this video, I'm going to talk about all the ways I've tried tarot journaling over the last 30 years or so and where I'm at now. I'm doing this because I'm going to make a video showing how I set up my Hobonichi weeks for next year, step by step. I made a video a couple of months ago, but I hadn't made a video for a long time and it was pretty kind of rushed and not that great angle and everything, and I didn't show the different steps, I just talked about it a bit. So I'm going to do that in depth, but because that's going to take a while, I thought I would do a kind of pre-video of that, prequel, to show some of the many ways I've tried tarot journaling over the years, and I have done a lot. And this is this is only going back probably maybe 10-15 years. Before that there were loads of other things I've done, but in a similar kind of vein. So I don't even know what order. I think when I very first started, I was just using whatever I had. I was at school still, exercise book, journal, ring journals. I was learning. I didn't know much about it, so whatever was available at the time would have been probably school exercise books. I've used like the Moleskine style notebooks. So when was this? So this is 2016, and just written. No dates. I spent a long time journaling without dated notebooks, and just sticking the cards in, drawing images from the cards sometimes, and mostly, pretty much I was doing it kind of every day, doing different draws and different things. And so that's one of the things, and I would like come up with key ideas and experiment within the journal, but this is about really showing you all the different journals that I've used over the years for doing the tarot. So there's those, that's the Moleskine, whatever you call it, whoops. Traveler's notebook style, I've had loads of these. I get vegan covers, this is one of them. Fodori we call them, I don't use leather. So I've got a lot of these, and I've got a lot of, I cut down cardboard wine cartons and store the inserts in when these covers are full up. But I've got about half a dozen covers, and I can fit 4 or 5 notebooks in each one. And I also do fold outs, I do it so that you do that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that's that. Travelers, and there's like spreads, and again, I do fold outs and things like that. And this would have been incorporating a lot of the tarot into like my everyday journaling. So this wasn't mainly not a separate tarot journal when I did this. Sometimes it was, but a lot of tarot, but other times it was incorporated into everyday stuff with readings and things. So there's those. That's the Traveler's Notebook style. And I said, I did this for, oh my goodness, I did this probably, I think, from 2016 to about 2020 maybe, or 1920. And so I've got a lot of those. Then I've done these big, in-depth study books, tarot journals. This was about, I think, doing the Wildwood Tarot, and I've done loads of art and creative stuff around the different cards and fold outs. And I like research and art journaling and bits and stuff, all the things like that. So that was working out a Southern Hemisphere version of the Wheel of the Year for the Wildwood Tarot. I think that was, again, this was quite a few years ago I did this. And then just going through different cards and doing collagey bits and pieces like that. And that was just a big ring-bound notebook that I decorated to cover with that hermit card. And then we've got, this is another, I used to use this red cover for the Christmas journals and just keep the Christmassy ones in there at one point. a January one. So that was another tarot when I just did. I would start off the year and do all the tarot, the main tarot cards, and I'd have a journal at the front, and in the front I would have like the card of the year, the numerology of the year, and things like that, and you know, just carry on like that. And then I've done it in my big, sorry, dropped a stone there. I've done it in my big Hobonichi Techo cousin. So this was in 23 when I overlapped. So I had a weeks that year too. I think 23 was the first year I started using the weeks. So there was an overlap, but I was doing quite a bit of it in here as well. In the same way, incorporating it in with like daily journaling. But because the Hobonichi has so many different things at the front, so many different inserts, you could put like the card. I still do that now in my main journal. You can put the card of the month or week in the front if you want to do that. I think I didn't do a lot in this one but in the one before that there was quite a bit, because I ended up with using the weeks more. That's the year I moved into the weeks. But I would layer things up, you know, like I've got cards, oracle cards there, and just different things. I like to layer, and so that's that one. And then this one is one I made. I don't even know what size it is. It's a random size because I made it out of loads of recycled papers. Just anything that I wanted at the time, and I used to stitch these journals and things, and I didn't always use them in like sequence. I would go backwards and forwards because I was traveling quite a lot, and like across the planet, so a thing like that is just too heavy to carry, and it's pretty chunky. I'll show you. Oh, where's that Hobonichi? So this is a Hobonichi cousin, so that's A5 size, and I make them fat, really fat, and that's this thing. But so this is probably getting on for B5, I would say. Not sure of the dimension to B5, but we've got that one. And again, I would just do, this was our drawings from the Deviant Moon. So that was, again, some of that was 2016, but they went on to other years. And I did a lot of writing and different sketches and things like that. And I would have inserts, and I don't often use daily pictures. Vultures, Starfish, Deer of the Sorrows, just talking about different decks. And that was so I didn't always do things, and I used it again in 2018. So as I said, I was going backwards and forwards, so I would have been going in and out of this. But because it is so big and it's got so many different pages in it, it didn't really work as a referencey tarot journal that you want to keep going back to. So now so in 2023, I started using, the 23 one. I don't know where that is. It's blue, but I can't find it anywhere. I started using the Hobonichi Weeks, the Mega. So, and that's the one I'm going to show you how to set up. This, so far, I've used it, this is for 23, 3 years in a row, pretty much, by December, and it's proved the longest serving one, I think, apart from the Traveller's Notebook style, which worked for me because I was carrying just the inserts around, and you could move them around. This has been the most consistent, and it's worked really well for this project I've been doing, the deck decluttering, because of the format. The format of, like, you know, you've got the page of the week to review, and then the page opposite for like notes, and so I do the card of the day on the left, and then any particular notes on the right. And the decks I've used, I always write the decks I've used on that week on the right hand page, because I've been using a deck every week. And then in the back I just draw if I've got any special notes, because the week's Mega has a lot of spare pages at the back. I don't know how many quite. Oh, here we go. It's got like 200 spare pages or something, maybe a few more. So you've got all these pages for notes. I mean, they look thinly, but the paper's so thin, you get a lot of pages. And the normal weeks, you probably get, I don't know, about 50 or something. So at the back, I always put the card of the month, and then any cards that stand out or readings that month, I note them down and write about them. I didn't stick a lot in this one. I've got worse because I was trying to avoid sticking things in. Just test for colours, the colour coding, and then at the end I sum up how many cards I've drawn that year. So that's the weeks, and the weeks one is the one that I'm going to show you. As again said, how I set up, and that's last year's. So, but I like these weeks. The weeks sneaker one, which was the first one I used for tarot, you can't put these covers on it, these clear covers, and they're kind of good for putting, like, you know, cards in, the card of the day or whatever, stickers, what, you know. So the weeks is the one, and the other thing I like how it has the monthly bit at the beginning set up. So we'll do that in a video very soon. Now I'm going to show you, so the decks I've been using this week are quite interesting. Well, I used the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle. This is one of my least favourites of this series. I think I particularly like certain artists, some of the card choices, but it's okay, you know, it's a nice, I love all of them, but probably this one is my least favourite. But it does have beautiful pictures, artwork. I don't know. I tend to go towards the wintry ones. Well, I was surprised. I actually quite like the Letha deck, which will be the next one. And I like it when we get to Yule, well, Letha here, Midsummer, because it's the longest day and we're heading for the dark again. I'm a bit weird that way, as we all know. But this is very different. I like the other person. Oh, well, that's a lovely card, though. I really do like that Fae card. I've got a horrible feeling this video might have been off centre. Pegasus is lovely too. See, that's beautiful art. I really like that. Yesterday I got Morning Dew. Yesterday I got the moon in the tarot, and I got Morning Dew, which is kind of cool because it wants stillness and silence, which is kind of like the dark moon, although we've just had the full moon. I saw the moon this morning. It kind of was beautiful. It was like a wishy-washy. I haven't done today's card yet because it's early still. So I will do that in a minute, but we'll do the tarot. Now, the tarot deck I've used this week is the Touchstone Tarot. This by Cat Black. I've had this again. I've had it a long time. I got it when it was released. I'm not even sure when that was. I don't know if it says anywhere on the deck. 2009. So it's I think it's been out of print for quite a while now. It's a collage deck. I don't normally like collage decks. The art is, it's kind of really well done, so you'd probably think it was just paintings, but they've taken lots of famous paintings from artists and put them together quite cleverly, and this is a long time before they were using AI for all this, to make, like, you know, a painting. They even use different heads and costumes and different parts of the person. So Touchstone Tarot, tell me true, this is what I ask of you. Although it is collage deck and I'm not a fan a lot of the time, there's some I like if they're kind of like more creative, not using all the other elements. But this has been done very well. And the other thing about it that I like is, unlike a lot of them, all of the artwork for every single card is referenced. So every part of the card. So what have we got here? So the Nine of Swords, example. We'll find the Nine of Swords in the guidebook. The meanings are pretty generic to the, like, Rider-Waite Tarot. But, so, there we go. So, a woman sits up in bed with her head in her hands. The side of the bed has a carving of a person whipping another person. Very unpleasant. A snarling black dog snaps at her, and the 9 swords hang on the wall behind. An orange butterfly sits on the end of her bed, possibly a monarch. Now, that's like, I kind of like the addition of the butterfly, and I really like the addition of the black dog as well, because that's pretty, can you see the black dog in this? On point. Meanings: nightmares, worries, fear, and unresolved issues are haunting you. A health problem in someone close to you may have you feeling frustrated and helpless. Depression, despair, a sense of hopelessness. And then reversed: fears confronted, wake up and face your nightmares if they're caused by guilt or remorse. Think of what you can do to give redress, and perhaps then you can find peace. Doesn't mention the hope of the butterfly. I guess waking up. I don't know. But, and then it goes on to tell you about multiple 9s in a spread and then multiple swords in a spread, which is an addition that's not in all guidebooks, but it is in this one. And then we have the painting sources, and this is what I like. So the sword hilt and the blade is from Artemisia Gentileschi, from the painting Judith Beheading Holofernes, 1612 to 1621, and it even tells you it's in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence where the painting can be seen. And then you've got the sword grip, Simone Vouet, from the painting of Magdalene, and again it tells you where it is. And then we've got the pillow, it tells you the source of that, the whipping slab, this bit down here, the coverlet, the person, and the black dog. It tells you literally everything, every single, even the butterfly, every little detail of the card is listed where that came from. And that's really important to me, and that's one reason I mean, I've been asked to sell this deck quite a lot because it went out of print. It's probably been, what do you call it, plagiarised now, but it is, the card stock is beautiful. It's got gilded edges, but I haven't had any problems over the years with them chipping. They feel gorgeous to shuffle. They're not sticky. They're kind of, I don't know, I haven't got another deck like this. They're smooth, but they're not sticky. They're a slightly more oracle than tarot size. It's just, I think they're actually the same size as the Seasons of the Witch, yeah. But I like it a lot. And as I said, I don't normally like collage decks, but I do like this one because of it gives you all the sources. And while I don't really connect to it, I think, in the way that I connect to some more personal decks, like I was talking about, like the Deviant Moon or the Unicorns of the Universe, the Shadow Speaks Oracle, because it is collaged together, it is different artwork, and the meanings are generic. So, but I could use this deck and use bits of those meanings, bits of the art that they've used, and so I might go and look at that painting. Like when I got the moon yesterday, and it referred to a painting. It was a painting of, I think, Pluto and 2 other planets by, I think it's Caravaggio, which I wanted to go and look it up because I remembered that painting. And looking at that would give me more insight into that card. And it doesn't matter how far away you go from a card. If you get somewhere, and that somewhere that you get gives you food for thought, helps you to see something in a different way, then it's working. That is, to me, that is tarot. Tarot is a key. So the moon in the moon card, I'm going to have to find you the card now, aren't I? It came from a painting of Jupiter, Neptune and Pluto by Caravaggio, which was done in 1597 to 1600. And that, I mean, I'm really into Jupiter. Jupiter's pretty cool at the moment. Jupiter's in Cancer. And I wanted to, and I thought, well, I'll go and look up the painting. I remember that painting from, I should have got it to show you here, but I didn't think I was going to go into this. Oh, and the other thing I love about this deck, it's got an extra card called the Happy Squirrel. And that was a thing that they did for a while. I really, really like that. I'll read you about the Happy Squirrel in a minute. I can show you some of these cards as I'm looking for the moon. I mean, they are gorgeous. As I said, they're gorgeous. If you just wanted a generic Rider-Waite deck with images pretty close to the original, I mean, look at the Ten of Swords. You couldn't go wrong. Although, well, you could, because you wouldn't be able to find it. Or very difficult to find. I haven't looked, obviously, because I don't need to look. I've got it. But I've had people asking me if I'll sell mine. Bit of fortune. Where's our moon gone? There it is. So you see the moon card. And it's got quite a gorgeous big moon. So I'll have a look for that painting. But we're going to draw, now the Happy Squirrel. I'll look at the Happy Squirrel for you because I cannot remember what it says about Happy Squirrel. And it does have sample readings and a couple of spreads in the book too. You may have noticed an extra card in your deck and wondered what it was doing there. It's a bit of a tarot in-joke and was intended to be taken out for readings. I've been very surprised to find, though, that many of the limited edition owners, most of whom are very experienced tarot readers and collectors, have chosen to leave it in the deck. So the Happy Squirrel tarot card first appeared in an episode of The Simpsons. Isn't it great that you've got like The Simpsons and then these really ancient paintings entitled Lisa's Wedding? Meanings: lighten up, do not take yourself or anything too seriously. There are no simple answers. Life is very complicated, and the most important thing is to take joy in the journey. And reversed, it says, hey, it's bad enough that I gave you upright meanings. You do realise it isn't a real tarot card, which is awesome. And that was the thing. That Happy Squirrel card was the reason I bought this deck, because I wanted a happy squirrel card. I don't think I ever watched an episode of The Simpsons, and I never had television. I didn't know much about The Simpsons. I don't know a lot about all those popular media and characters and things. I'm still back in the days of Peanuts and Charlie Brown, and I'm pretty happy there. You know, like the philosophy of Winnie the Pooh, you can't go wrong, you know. If you want to read about the world and learn about life, you don't need any self-help books. You don't need any of that. I don't know where my ones are. You just need the Winnie the Pooh books. And maybe a couple of Peanuts comics, you know. Winnie the Pooh, gosh, they say it all. They know how to do it. They know about how to live. Tigger knows all about vitamin B12 and how to bounce, and, well, I think I made a bit up about the B12, but when I first discovered that I had pernicious anemia and I was given vitamin B12, I felt like Tigger. I was bouncing all over the place. Tomorrow, I've also got my deck, my book with a list of decks I still got to use, so I'll choose a deck for next week in some strange way. So we're going to go 9. We don't have many to count. Well, I keep doing that, I don't know. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And, yeah, respect and honour to anyone who... Oh, we got the Hierophant, my least favourite card. Why don't I like the Hierophant? But I did find a Hierophant reading, interpretation I actually liked. I think it was when we were doing the 30-day thing. I'll have to have a look. It's also, this has got other uses for the deck, talks a bit about journaling, as I said, spreads. There's quite a lot in this book. It is a good book. It's a blooming great deck, you know. I feel bad that it's not available anymore. Maybe it is now, I don't know. But an aloof young man in papal regalia stands between two pillars. His regalia includes a large peaked hat covered in ornate decorations, a gold cape with a beaded collar, a gilded bookstaff, and a pair of large gilt keys on a chain around his neck. He has chiselled features but soft blue-grey eyes. An older man, perhaps a priest, kneels beside him at a respectful distance. A tendency to conservatism and conformity, a spiritual awakening or calling, education, a desire for higher learning and consciousness. Well, I'll go for the latter, meaning. Reverse, beware of false prophets. That's actually very on point, especially with YouTube and things. Ignore those who tell you what to believe or how to behave. Take responsibility for your own moral choices and follow your own path. Well, I've always done that. So that Hierophant is quite in tune with my thoughts. So that's our card today. And if I put, where's that little, I had a little crystal there. If I put that little crystal there, then that will stop it falling. I don't even know if you can see it there. I'll bring it forward a bit just in case you can't. Not that you need to really see it anymore. Did I even show you it properly? Again, I haven't got the camera set up very well. I've been a bit all over the place, you know, been pretty full on lately. That's the Touchstone. Now we'll do our Oracle card. So we've got the Hierophant, which is number 5. See what we get from this one. 3. The Green Man. All that I desire comes to me easily and effortlessly. I know this to be true, for I am abundant in all that I do. So I don't particularly like that Green Man. He looks a bit creepy to me. I would run a mile if I came across him in the forest. It's the sort of Green Man that would have really creeped me out when I was a child. It's the eyes, that kind of... no, thank you, don't like it. Probably stone, though, kind of a moonstone. I love stones that have these markings. I've got so many... just beach rocks that have like the beautiful feelings of like moons or whatever. I like stones. I use them. We have a deck railing and it's hard to use pegs. I tend to get stones and put on top of the washing to stop it blowing away on the top of the deck railing. Everything the Green Man touches turns to gold, or rather green, that is. He's the ultimate expression of abundance and more specifically an abundant mindset. When the Green Man invites you to his earthly there, it is to infuse you with the spirit of wealth. Money will flow to you with ease, opportunities will suddenly come knocking on, or you will find the fulfillment of a goal is just within reach. This is also a sign that you're on the right path and what you're doing now is working, so keep at it. Well, mowing is what I'm doing, and it is working, but I have to keep doing it again. This card shows that you are living life and enjoying all the fruits of your labour. You feel more confident and sure of yourself, and other people have taken notice of this and seek your advice, knowing you have much to share. Woo-hoo! The Green Man is also a giver and provider of wealth. Be generous with your abundance, both financially and spiritually. Share your knowledge and invite others to partake in your good fortune. Well, I've got to say, all my life I've been generous. I do believe in abundance. I don't think I'm woo-woo. But I do know that when I behave as if there are no limits, not in a stupid way, but I'm kind of the opposite of people who are tight. You know that expression, tight, when someone's mean with money, and it doesn't matter how much money they've got, they're really like stingy and count money. There's usually reasons for it. They probably can't help it, you know. But I've been through real hardship in my life. I'm not just saying that, I have. And had to beg for food in the past, a long time ago now, but I know what it's like. I have been there. So I'm not frivolous, and I hate waste. I detest waste. It's the most awful thing to me. If I have a bit of money and someone needs it and I don't actually need it right then for something urgent, and they do, I will give it to them. I've always been like that, and I know not just that, sharing knowledge, anything, food, whatever. I've always been that person who wants to give. You do get taken advantage of, you do, but better than the opposite. And I do believe that if you do that, then you will be provided for. It's easy to say when you're in a position when it's been working, but as I said, I have been completely the opposite. I've been at the other end of the scale, you know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm rich or wealthy or anything, but even so, we are still among, most of us here are among, that we've got a computer can watch this, are among the 10% wealthiest people on the planet. We have to remember this. And everyone is struggling. People do struggle in many, many different ways. Even if you're like a billionaire, you've got a lot of struggles, probably more so than a lot of us, because then there's that whole thing. If you've got something, you want to keep it. It's like a new car syndrome. I call it new car syndrome. I would never, ever in my life want a brand new car. I would not like it at all. You get a brand new car, and you're terrified of anything you do to it, that it's going to get scratched. You can't enjoy it, you know, so better have an old beat up bang. Right, now we can choose a deck for next week. Right, where's that other book? Marseille deck, The Northern Animals, Unicorns of the Universe. Maybe I might use that one. The Spacious Tarot, the Hoi Polloi. As again, I'm trying not to use pip decks because I know I'm going to keep the Hoi Polloi. I love that deck. It's an old deck from the 70s, I think. One of my original decks. It's in a funny box. I know I'm going to keep the Squid Cake Marseille. That's only been out a couple of years or so, and I really like that, so I'm not too worried about using that one. The Lilith I adore. So basically, this experiment was to find decks that I wanted to either keep or not, or use decks I hadn't really used or looked into in a big way for some reason. The Mythic Tarot, I know I'll definitely probably keep that, but I've done a lot of the kind of mythological decks recently with the Dark Goddess and then the Mythical Creatures. Mary L, definitely keep a Rabbit again, that's just a basic Rider-Waite kind of deck. The Zombie Tarot I was going to use this week, but I couldn't find it, then I found it the other day. That's quite a fun deck actually. I might use the Zombie Tarot, as it's carrying on with the Day of the Dead, you know, the Migas of the Muertos and everything. It's like, was only just gone. Silhouette again, basic Rider-Waite. The Sucky Sucky's a fun deck. The Silicon Dawn's amazing. That's kind of multi-carded deck. It's got lots of different cards in it. I really do like the Silicon Dawn. Then the Carnival at the End of the World. Again, that's a nice deck. Very different. Pagan Otherworlds is a pip deck. The Janessa Juice decks I like. So I think maybe next week I'll use either the Zombie or the Silicon Dawn. Okay, and as for the Oracle deck, well, I'm not quite sure because, as I said, I've pretty much used all the Oracles. There we go. I hope that was enjoyable, and I hope you have a good week. I know today is a day, remembrance and things, and then we've got the 11/11, which is Remembrance Day too. We do it in New Zealand. We have Remembrance Day in April, where the Anzac, the New Zealand and Australian, I think it was when they came out or came into Gallipoli, I'm not sure, but it was part of World War II, whereas in the UK, Poppy Day or Remembrance Day is like, you know, it's the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So that's on Tuesday, I think. then the week after, or a couple of weeks, we've got the big, what it's called, Thanksgiving, I think. Yeah, Thanksgiving Day, which is not something I would be a fan of. And then we get the horrific Black Friday time, which is something that I really, really don't enjoy. If I really wanted something and it was going to go on sale on Black Friday, then if I get into that sale, that mindset, then I think, well, yeah, but what if it sells out? And you instantly create stress and panic, okay? So I don't think Black Friday is a good thing at all. If you offer good value all year round, and customers and clients, whatever, they trust you. You build up a relationship, a trustworthy relationship. They know what they're getting for their money. They know they're getting quality. They know you're there. They know they've got service. They'll come back. Where, on the other hand, if you've got that sale, the Boxing Day, it used to be Black Friday, which apparently taken over from Boxing Day. Black Friday is very new in the rest of the world. It didn't used to happen here. There's no relationship. There's no trust build up. There's no, and it's just, I don't like it, I just think you're better off offering good value all year round rather than this madness. I've always hated the Boxing Day sales from when I was a little kid. You get the minute Christmas happens, Christmas Eve, before the shops turn off the lights, in the days when things used to close down over Christmas, and the posters are going up for Boxing Day. So, no thank you. I mean, as I said, if there was something that was on my list and it came up in a shop I go to locally, because I try and get things locally, but that's not always possible here. We don't have Amazon in New Zealand either. You have to get it from Australia, so we don't get the Amazon deals. We don't get Prime or anything like that. And I'm not sad about that, If I can go local, I go local. So we've got all those things coming up, and then we've got December, and then we've got I'm leaving on a jet plane. Okay, bye.